Is love without conditions truly possible? Or is it just an illusion we've been taught to believe in? The Stoics would argue that all emotions, including love, should be subject to reason. But what does that mean when it comes to love that's supposed to transcend limits? Can we really love unconditionally? Or does every relationship have its hidden expectations? Let's break down this myth of unconditional love through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Before we dive deep into this eye-opening topic, please like this video and subscribe to support the channel's journey. Your support helps us continue bringing thought-provoking content like this. Number 1. The modern definition of unconditional love. In today's world, unconditional love is often portrayed as the ultimate form that transcends flaws, mistakes, and conditions. It's found in fairy tales, movies, and even the advice we give to one another. But is it truly possible to love someone without expecting anything in return? According to Stoic philosophy, love, like all emotions, should be examined critically and without letting our desires cloud our judgment. The Stoics believe that our love for others should stem from virtue, not from an attachment to who they are or what they offer. Yet, many people say they love unconditionally while secretly harboring expectations. For instance, we may expect loyalty, respect, or gratitude in return for our affection. The contradiction between what we claim and what we feel lies at the heart of this debate. Is the concept itself flawed, or are our definitions skewed by our societal norms? Stoicism encourages us to love others as fellow humans, flawed and imperfect, but always within reason. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that love should not make us irrational. This raises the question, can unconditional love be considered a reasonable pursuit if it clouds our sense of judgment? When we break down the expectations that come with relationships, whether between family, friends, or partners, it's clear that unconditional love might not be as pure or as realistic as we think. Number 2, Stoicism and the nature of attachment. Stoicism teaches that attachments can lead to suffering, especially when they are based on unrealistic expectations. When we attach ourselves emotionally to others without considering their imperfections or limitations, we open ourselves up to disappointment and pain. This begs the question, can unconditional love truly exist in a world where humans are inherently flawed? The Stoics believe that the key to emotional stability was to love others without becoming overly attached. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote that we should love the world and its people as they are, not as we wish them to be. This reflects the idea that love should be rational, not blind. In romantic relationships, we often hear the phrase love without limits, but this can be a slippery slope. If we place no boundaries on our love, we may enable harmful behaviors or allow our sense of self-worth to become entangled in another person's actions. This isn't unconditional love. It lacks self-awareness and self-respect. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to find balance, to love deeply but wisely. By accepting others as they are, with their strengths and weaknesses, we avoid the pitfalls of unhealthy attachment and unrealistic expectations. Number 3, parental love and expectations. Parental love is often cited as the ultimate form of unconditional love. Parents are expected to love their children no matter what. But is even this form of love truly without conditions? Stoic philosophy challenges us to consider whether such love is influenced by societal and personal expectations. Parents, by nature, have expectations for their children. They want them to grow into responsible adults, to make good choices, and to reflect their values. This can create an unconscious condition in parental love. While a parent may never stop loving their child, their emotional investment often comes with strings attached, an expectation of certain behaviors or achievements. The Stoics would argue that this form of love, though deep and meaningful, is still tied to external conditions. A Stoic parent would strive to love their child while accepting that the child is a separate individual, capable of making choices, both good and bad, that may differ from what the parent desires. Stoicism teaches that true love should not be possessive or controlling. Instead, it should allow the individual to grow and learn, free from overwhelming expectations. In this way, even parental love can be re-examined through the Stoic lens, showing that unconditional love is perhaps more myth than reality. Number 4, romantic love and its limitations. Romantic love is where the idea of unconditional love faces its greatest test. Relationships between partners are often riddled with conditions, spoken and unspoken. Whether it's loyalty, trust, or emotional support, we enter relationships expecting to receive something in return. The Stoics were clear that love, in the romantic sense, should be governed by reason. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, argued that excessive passion leads to chaos and poor judgment. He believed that true love should be calm, rational, and based on mutual respect, not driven by uncontrollable emotions. In modern relationships, the notion of unconditional love often sets people up for failure. When one partner believes they should be loved regardless of their behavior, it can lead to toxic dynamics where boundaries are crossed and respect is lost. Stoicism teaches that we must love wisely, with respect for both ourselves and the other person. True love, according to Stoic principles, is not about sacrificing yourself entirely for another person. It is about forming a bond based on mutual respect, virtue, and shared values, elements that inherently carry conditions. Number 5, the role of expectations in friendships. Even in friendships, where love is often considered less intense than romantic or parental love, there are still conditions and expectations. We expect our friends to be there for us, to listen, and to offer support. But does this mean that friendship can never be truly unconditional? According to Stoic teachings, the best friendships are those based on virtue and mutual respect. Cicero, who was greatly influenced by Stoic thought, believed that true friendship can only exist between good and virtuous people. In this sense, even the purest of friendships carries the condition that both parties are committed to virtue and personal growth. If a friend betrays our trust or consistently fails to meet our expectations, the friendship often suffers. This reveals the underlying conditions that most friendships rely upon. While we may not explicitly state these conditions, they shape our interactions and the depth of our connections. In the Stoic view, friendships should be approached with clarity and honesty, understanding that even the strongest bonds have limits. By acknowledging these limits, we create healthier and more fulfilling relationships, free from unrealistic expectations. Number 6, Stoicism's emphasis on self-love. The Stoics believe that before we can love others, we must first cultivate self-love. But this form of love is not the selfish, egotistical kind that we often associate with the term. Instead, Stoic self-love is rooted in self-respect, discipline, and personal growth. Unconditional love for others becomes difficult when we do not have a solid foundation of self-love. If we constantly seek validation from others or sacrifice our well-being to meet their needs, we risk losing ourselves in the process. The Stoics taught that self-love requires us to value our worth and to maintain our dignity, even in relationships with those we care about. This does not mean that we become self-centered or indifferent to others' needs. Rather, it means that we approach love from a place of inner strength, not desperation or dependency. When we love ourselves in this Stoic sense, we are better equipped to love others without becoming overly attached or sacrificing our sense of self. By cultivating this inner love, we can approach relationships with more clarity and wisdom, avoiding the traps of unrealistic expectations and emotional dependency. Number 7, compassion without attachment. The Stoics were firm believers in compassion. loving others as fellow humans, but without becoming attached to outcomes. This distinction is key when discussing unconditional love. Can we love others deeply while maintaining a sense of detachment from their actions and decisions? Compassion, in the Stoic sense, is about understanding that others are flawed and will make mistakes. But instead of becoming emotionally entangled in their actions, we should focus on maintaining our inner peace. Epictetus advised that we should love others, but not to the point where we lose ourselves in the process. This kind of love allows us to support others, to be there for them, but not to base our happiness on their choices. It's a love that recognizes the impermanence of life and the unpredictability of human behavior. In this way, Stoicism offers a path toward a more realistic form of love, one that is compassionate and kind, but not blind or unconditional. It's a love that respects both the self and the other person, without placing unrealistic demands on either. Number 8, the importance of boundaries in love. For love to be healthy, Stoicism teaches that boundaries are essential. Unconditional love, by definition, implies a lack of boundaries, which can lead to unhealthy relationships where one person's needs are constantly neglected in favor of the others. Setting boundaries in love doesn't mean that you love someone less. It means that you love them in a way that respects both yourself and the other person. Marcus Aurelius spoke about the importance of self-discipline and maintaining one's principles, even in relationships. Love should not come at the cost of one's values or well-being. By establishing clear boundaries, we ensure that love remains a positive force in our lives. Without boundaries, love can easily turn into codependency or emotional manipulation, neither of which aligns with Stoic ideals of virtue and self-control. In romantic relationships, friendships, and even family dynamics, boundaries help maintain balance and mutual respect. This, in turn, creates a more genuine and sustainable form of love, one that acknowledges human limitations and respects individuality. Number 9, love as a virtue, not an emotion. The Stoics believe that love should be approached as a virtue, rather than a fleeting emotion. Emotions are temporary and often irrational, but virtues are consistent and rooted in wisdom. To love unconditionally would mean to let emotions dictate our actions, which goes against Stoic teachings. Instead, the Stoics argued that love, like justice or courage, should be practiced with mindfulness and reason. This means loving others in a way that aligns with our moral values, not simply because of how we feel in the moment. When love is treated as a virtue, it becomes something that we can control and nurture over time. It's not about losing ourselves in another person or blindly sacrificing everything for them. It's about loving with intention, thoughtfulness, and wisdom. This Stoic approach to love challenges the modern notion of unconditional love, suggesting instead that the healthiest and most sustainable love is one that is grounded in virtue. Number 10, conclusion, unconditional love, myth or reality. So, is unconditional love a myth or a reality? Through the lens of Stoicism, it seems more like a myth. Love, in its healthiest form, is not unconditional. It is bound by respect, virtue, and reason. While we may feel deep affection for others, the idea of loving without any conditions is both unrealistic and potentially harmful. The Stoics teach us to love wisely, to set boundaries, and to approach relationships with clarity and virtue. By doing so, we avoid the traps of unrealistic expectations and emotional turmoil. True love, according to Stoicism, is not about abandoning reason for passion, but about cultivating a deep, rational affection for others while maintaining our inner peace. In the end, unconditional love may be an idealized concept, but Stoicism offers us a path to a more balanced, sustainable, and fulfilling form of love. In summary, unconditional love, though romantic in concept, may be a myth when viewed through the lens of Stoicism. The The Stoics teach us that healthy love must be rooted in reason, virtue, and respect, not in the unconditional sacrifice of our peace or identity. By practicing love with boundaries and a wisdom-based approach, we avoid the emotional traps that often accompany unconditional love. True love, according to Stoicism, balances affection with reason, allowing us to love deeply without losing our serenity.